The Galactic Council had gathered in full assembly. 57 species stood beneath the vast dome of crystalline light that shimmered over the star city of Dareth Prime. Each race was a master of worlds, lords of systems, bound under the Charter of Dominion, and all of them turned their eyes to the newest presence in the chamber: humanity. It was the first time the species of Earth had been invited to speak before the Council. Rumors of their rapid rise had spread across the stars like wildfire. Within just 2 centuries of discovering faster-than-light travel, they had colonized dozens of worlds, mined belts untouched for eons, and built fleets that patrolled their sectors without interference. Some races admired their determination, others feared their unpredictability, but admiration and fear meant nothing before the law of the Council. Every new species was required to offer tribute, a payment of resources, soldiers, or loyalty, to ensure peace under the Council's protection. The Hall of Voices fell silent as the arbiter of the Council, a towering being with silver skin and eyes like molten light, extended a crystalline staff and spoke. Humans of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council to acknowledge your inclusion within our dominion. By decree of the Charter, you are required to provide tribute to maintain your membership. The Council demands 10% of your resource output, 2% of your population for service, and an oath of obedience to the will of the Assembly. The words echoed through the chamber. The representatives of the other species nodded in approval. This was how it had always been done. Every civilization had paid its due. The mighty Karens, the wise Altari, even the flame-born Kiltari had bowed before the Council's terms. To refuse was to declare rebellion. To rebel was to be erased. At the center of the chamber, the human delegation stood motionless. They were smaller than most of the others, their bodies of flesh and bone looking frail beside the massive scaled and armored beings surrounding them. Yet something in their stance was different. They were calm. Their eyes were steady. The lead representative, a man with gray at his temples and a plain uniform marked with no insignia, stepped forward. The light from the dome above caught the metal pin on his chest. It bore no emblem, no crest, just a simple symbol, a circle enclosing a smaller one, the sign of unity. He placed his hands behind his back and looked around the chamber. "May I confirm," he said evenly, "that this demand applies to all members of the Council?" The arbiter nodded. "It does. Such has been the law for 10,000 cycles." The man inclined his head slightly. "And failure to comply results in war?" "It results in correction," the arbiter replied coldly. "Civilizations that refuse are corrected and replaced." A quiet murmur moved through the crowd. The Terran ambassador leaned toward another, whispering with a glint of amusement. "They will accept as all do. The humans may be loud, but they are still young." The human representative listened without reaction. When silence returned, he nodded once as if acknowledging the weight of the words. Then he said a single word. "No." It was not shouted. It was not defiant. It was quiet, simple, and final. Yet the sound seemed to ripple through the air like thunder. For a heartbeat, the chamber was silent. Then came the noise: outrage, disbelief, laughter. Voices collided in chaos as ambassadors rose from their seats. Did he say no? They refused tribute? Impossible. They must not understand. The arbiter struck his staff against the floor, silencing the uproar. "Repeat your response, human." The man did not move. "No." The word echoed again, sharper this time, carrying a weight that silenced even the most furious delegates. The arbiter's eyes burned brighter. "You refuse the Council. You defy the Charter." The human's gaze did not waver. "We acknowledge the Council. We recognize your laws, but we do not pay tribute to those who did not build what we built. We do not serve those who did not fight beside us. We will stand as equals or we will stand alone." The chamber erupted again, but beneath the shouting, a quiet current of unease began to spread. There was something unsettling about the human's tone. Not arrogance, but certainty. The arbiter's voice grew cold. "You misunderstand your position. The Council offers peace and unity. Without it, there is only destruction. You will comply or face correction." The human tilted his head slightly. "Correction. That's what you call it." The words hung like frost. He raised a small device from his wrist, projecting a holographic image above the floor. The chamber dimmed as the hologram expanded, showing star systems. Dozens, then hundreds. Gas giants, moons, colonies, fleets. "This," the human said quietly, is our space. Every world we have built, every ship we have forged, every life we have raised to the stars. We have fought storms that tore our hulls apart, plagues that devoured our cities, and wars that nearly ended us. We survived all of it, together. He tapped the device, and the hologram shifted, showing fleets in formation, engines burning blue, ships moving in disciplined arcs across the void. When we were alone, we learned how to fight. When we were desperate, we learned how to build. And when the dark came for us, we learned how to endure. The image changed again. The fleet surrounding a single planet, Earth. So, when you ask for tribute, the man continued, his voice still calm, you're asking us to forget who we are, to hand over the sweat of generations, to kneel before a throne we never swore to. He looked around the chamber once more. We will not. The Arbiter's staff trembled. Then you will be destroyed. The human gave a faint smile. We've heard that before. The chamber filled with murmurs again. The Altari delegate, old and wise, leaned forward. You cannot fight the Council. Even the great Terran Empire yielded. We hold the fleets of 57 species. You are one world, the human turned to him. 57 species. One council. One threat. One answer. He paused, then said again quietly, no. There was something almost sacred in that refusal. Not defiance for glory, not pride for show, but conviction that needed no approval. The council adjourned in fury that day. Orders were issued within the hour. The fleets of the council gathered at the edge of human space. Millions of ships, ancient and proud, united under one banner. Their commanders called it a campaign of correction. The humans called it the silence before dawn. They came in waves. The first assault entered the Sol Gate with banners of conquest, their weapons bright as the hearts of stars. They found the gate waiting, and beyond it silence, no ships. No response. Then the silence broke. From the dark, human vessels emerged, black-hulled, silent, unmarked. They moved in perfect synchronization, no insignia, no transmission. They did not announce themselves. They simply opened fire. The first wave lasted 13 minutes. When it ended, the stars around Sol were filled with debris and drifting fire. Council ships burned without signal or surrender. The few that survived retreated, broadcasting fragments of horror across the void. They spoke of weapons that bent light, projectiles that ignored shields, and tactics that predicted every move before it was made. The second wave came a week later. It lasted 9 minutes. The third never reached Sol at all. It vanished between jumps, its signal ending in silence. By the time the Council understood, it was too late. Human fleets had moved beyond their borders, not in conquest, but containment. Every Council forward base found itself surrounded. Every communication relay began broadcasting the same message. One word, in a dozen languages. No. That word became the echo of every defeat. The Council's admirals spoke of impossible coordination. Their fleet struck as if guided by a single mind. Entire squadrons vanished into folds of light, emerging behind enemy lines. Ships that should have taken days to reach targets appeared in seconds. Some whispered that humanity had mastered not just war, but prediction itself. The truth was simpler. Humanity had learned unity. On Earth's surface, no songs of conquest were sung. No celebrations were held. The people watched the stars in silence. For them, this was not victory. It was necessity. They had seen what tribute meant: submission, decay, dependence. They had built too long to surrender what they had earned. Within 3 months, the Council was in chaos. Some species withdrew their fleets. Others begged for ceasefire. The Arbiter himself vanished from Dareth Prime when his flagship failed to return from negotiation. Then one day, a message arrived at the Council chamber. It came through every surviving relay, every frequency encoded in human precision. The same man appeared again, standing before a dark backdrop. Humanity will not take your worlds, he said. We will not enslave, we will not demand tribute, we will not destroy your cities. But we will not kneel. You spoke of unity under domination. We speak of freedom under strength. You call us rebels. We call ourselves human. He leaned slightly forward. Your council is broken because it was built on obedience. Ours endures because it was built on choice. Remember that. Then the message ended. No threats. No demands. Just silence. The council fractured soon after. Some races chose to align with humanity, not as subjects but as equals. Trade routes opened, alliances formed, old hatreds dissolved under the quiet certainty that the age of tribute was over. And through it all, one word remained carved in every archive of the galaxy, the answer that shattered the Council and ended an age of control. No, it became legend. It became warning. It became a promise whispered among the free worlds. That one word from a small woe,